Well, the thing that will be very different about the NBN is that it will be a flat platform on which many different services can compete. Now, most of your typical telecommunications, they own your house once they sign you up, cable company or telephone company, and typically they get to set the rates, they get to set these stupid caps you have on data. I mean, what is that about? What is that about? Get rid of that, okay? This is just nuts. You are throttling the very use of the thing that you spent all this money to put in place. I mean, if I had data caps in the United States, I would feel like I'd been thrown into slavery. I mean, don't tell me how many bytes I can use in a given day, because you're infringing on my individual creativity to decentralize innovation. Now you say, well, but I need more backhaul. Well, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. I mean, if you can't figure a business model that will make you money in that, you shouldn't be in that business anymore. And so I think what you're going to see is a much more competitive landscape offering you, the consumer, a vastly greater set of opportunities of combinations of services than you have in any system you've ever seen in Australia. And you have a chance of maybe having more innovators working on your national platform because it's ubiquitous and goes to 90% of your households. Then there's economy of scale that you may start up more businesses here in Australia that can sell into this 30% of your growth than any other country. And that's a lot to do with the government attitude about making this an open system. The United States is not like that. Okay, I've got like Time Warner Cable, and the only applications I can get in my triple play are what Time Warner deigns to give me at their price, whatever they choose to put a price on. There is no competition. That's going to be very different in Australia. You're going to have true competition. And competition typically drives down prices and increases choice. So I think it's going to be a great experiment, and I'm certainly going to be watching it very closely to see. But I would think you're going to get a great improvement over what you had as an experience in the past of telecommunication systems in your home.
Good evening, Andrew. Thank you for Lyons, and thank you for coming to our wonderful state, sharing your views. I run a business in Lyons, but I'm able to run national. I'm able to do that because of the internet. So I don't have any fear or trepidation about bandwidth. I actually am looking forward to it. But I think I'd like to see the debate move to, when we get this wonderful highway, what the restrictions are and how people police it and how they go about using it. I know in Australia, Australians will take it up. It won't be 20% of homes. They'll take it up very quickly. And Australian business and Tasmanian businesses will take it up as well. But the debate should be about how we use the freeway. We'll be getting out of the one-lane highway into this wonderful era. And instead of flicking emails around Australia, we'll be flicking images, which I think is very exciting. So I'd just like to move the debate on to the usage, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways the NBN could go south, I'd be honest with you. It's going to depend a lot on the way it's handled. I'm hoping, for instance, that the service providers, the companies that are going to want to provide services over this new highway into your house, are going to be listened to by the people who are designing the NBN technically and setting up the regulatory structure. As you know, there's going to be a change in regulatory structure as well. And, engineers, bless their hearts, are good at designing what they think the system ought to be like. But that may or may not be the system that's most useful to you as a service provider. And so if they don't have input early on, that could lead to difficulties. And there's lots of other things as well. But I think the main thing is, 20% seems awfully high to me for a new technology. I mean, you're talking about the early adopters. If I get 20% to be early adopters of a new technology, I wouldn't have to be going around giving talks. Actually, I don't get paid for this, so it's just the love of it. But still, you know, that's a lot of people, because if you do it right, so that you, for instance, look for categories of people using this in innovative ways, and then you make heroes of these people and spread the word around. In other words, just don't sit back and wait for it to happen, but be proactive. This is what we do in California for our network. Each year we give sort of like Academy Awards for the most innovative use in education and healthcare and government, local government, and so forth. And, you know, we effectively then have this incredibly decentralized set of innovators that we pluck out the best of breed and then make them available to everybody else who can say, well, gee, I'd never thought of that, but now that I understand it, you know, I can improve on that. And then you get this sort of virtuous spiral going very quickly. You could be doing that in Tasmania, and you could set the standard for the rest of Australia. But you have to decide to get proactive. You have to lead. And, you know, some folks are up for that and some folks aren't. So, but I think you can structurally put in place things that make it more likely that you'll have a good outcome.
Yeah.
Did you? Right. No, it's really important. You know, most jobs are created in small businesses, amazingly small businesses, actually. And so those businesses are going to be hooked up to the NBN as well. And we talk a lot about households, and everybody has the idea that their grandmother isn't going to know what to do with this or whatever, but a lot of the businesses will know exactly what to do with it, just like you've done. Namely, you can run a national or even international business out of a small business if you have the amplifier of the internet and you have the software and the systems that can go with it. So that's another place I think you could see a lot of innovation. But groups like this, the TCCI, you know, you can help educate your membership about what are the most innovative uses that are going on with this. And you don't have to just limit it to what's going on in Tasmania. Go out, check out the other 50 million places that have already got hooked up to fiber. Bring those people in to talk to your groups. Do seminars, do workshops. And then those of you who have small businesses, show up. You know, if you don't show up, how are you going to learn? So this is denial. It's a subtle form of denial. Because who wants to change? Who wants to have to learn something new? But if you don't, this is very disruptive technology. Don't, you know, this is like playing with fire. So I think an organization like this could have a great positive benefit on the uptake by the small businesses. You might